we go. So just give yourself a minute to come to the session, kind of settle in. And this is really an exercise to help you clear your mind, or if you're feeling, a bit overwhelmed at times, it could be great for that too. So what I'll invite you to do is for the next 2 minutes, and you can close your eyes or you can turn your camera off, whatever you feel comfortable with. I want you to just let your mind go. So think of this as just kind of letting whatever is coming through your mind just come in, come out. Just don't try and clear your mind or calm your thoughts or any of that stuff. This is kind of like the opposite to meditation. You want things to almost go crazy, if you like. So I'll invite you for the next 2 minutes to just let your mind run away, really, with whatever it wants to think about. Okay? All right, so we're going to start now. Back to the present moment. Come back to the present moment. And now what I'd invite you to do is grab a pen and paper, and just for the next minute, I want you to just scribble down or write down anything that you just want to capture or remember, anything that came to mind. Maybe you want to take stock of it, think about it later, or just, I need to do X, and just capture that on paper for the next minute. And now that you've written down whatever it was that came to mind, I'm going to invite you to do the same thing again. Take another 2 minutes. And again, just listen to your mind and see what it is that you notice. And then again, take 1 minute and then write down whatever comes to mind now. So, question, how did you find that? What did you notice from when you started to when we finished? Anyone want to share any observations?
I'll go.
Okay, thanks, Anne.
It's not very academic. I noticed birdsong and my coffee table needs dusting, if I'm really honest. It was obviously quite a good exercise just to clear your mind, wasn't it? And sort of have a list of things that's probably buzzing around and troubling you or on your mind. So it's quite good to get those down on paper, I always find. But I didn't notice anything particularly about those topics when I was just thinking. I just noticed the birds singing in the garden more than anything.
I mean, how did you feel when you were coming into the session? Were you fairly calm and relaxed to begin with, or did you have anything? Had you sort of come from anywhere else?
No, I was relaxed. No, I guess it was just a little troubled in case I couldn't join, because I couldn't join on my phone. So I tapped in the web and I was expecting it not to work, because I always think technology is not going to work, and hey ho, it did. So that was a good start.
Okay, all right. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, for me, I was dozens of things were entering to my head because I am that person. So it allowed me to filter those down to one aspect, and then I don't know whether this is the object of the exercise, Chris, but it was an area that I felt I could get some control over. And then I felt this calm as perceived obstacles were starting to be removed.
Oh my God, because she's written the case study for me.
Instead of thinking, oh, I can't do that because of that, I need to do that first, I'd got this sort of, yeah, you can do that.
I
You
mean,
can
and
make
as a
it.
person who sounds like let's just say you've got lots of things buzzing in your head, do you find it, how easy or difficult do you find it to just take a moment like that and just sift through things?
Extremely difficult,
Oh, okay.
because we tell people to do that, don't we?
Of course we do,
don't.
yeah. Need to take our own medicine sometimes, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah, yeah, Terry.
Um, it was interesting actually, because I do meditation every day, 20 minutes. I've been doing it for a couple of years and a bit more actually. And one of the things we do is thought stopping. You notice your thoughts and you know, let them go. And I couldn't get any constructive thoughts. You know, I was a bit like Anne. There was nothing. There are some workmen outside. I could hear them, and I could hear some birds. And it's actually the calm. It's, you know, just by taking a step back, whatever comes to mind, it doesn't matter. It's just the calm that comes from being outside, you know, all the things that go into the mind. So I'm going to use this definitely with a couple of clients who struggle with having too many things. And I thought, yeah, this is great. I knew the 3-minute, you know, in mindfulness, we do the 3-minute, what do you call it, where you think, oh, how am I feeling? What's happening in my head and all that. But focus on the breathing first. Then how am I feeling? And then you go back to the breathing, which creates a bit of a feeling of calm as well, calmness. But this one is really good because it empties the mind in a way by writing things, and it takes it one step further. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, I can't claim credit for the tool. As I say, I've learned it. There's a really look up. There's a company called Ride the Waves, and they've got some fantastic coaching tools. I think they're coming out with a book in April. They did an AC webinar on something called their Waves model, which is a resilience model. And I think I'm definitely going to get the book when it comes out, because they did like a part 2 to the webinar. And yeah, they're just very simple tools. They're very easy tools. There's another one I can share with you if we have time. And yeah, it's just being intentional. And the thing I found when I did is I thought, gosh, 5 minutes is a long time to sit here and do this and go back and forth. And what's the point of this? But actually, maybe that is the point, isn't it? is to get you to just stop for the moment. And as Sean said, it's clearing your mind, because I'm sure a lot of you have heard, the what we resist persists, analogy, which is obviously that the more you try to stop thinking about something, or, letting it, or pushing it aside, then actually the more it intrudes. So by giving it kind of free rein and giving it a chance to be heard and registered and just captured somewhere else, then that leaves your coachee hopefully free to focus on something. Or maybe something comes up in that 5 minutes, go, actually, you know what, that's what I need to talk to you about today. Because sometimes they don't always quite know. They know they need help with something, but they can't quite articulate it. And sometimes having a little bit of headspace like that can provide a bit of insight. Is there anybody else that wants to say anything before we dive into anyone else's? Yeah, you're looking. Want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it was really calming, and like Sean, I came back to a theme which was time, and just thinking more about it. And there's only so much I can do in so much time.
Oh my gosh. And it's interesting you said that, because one of the themes that resonated for me was, I think it was off the back of Sheridan's email this week. And I was reading about, the focus on solving one problem really well. We're focusing on one thing. And I've been reading a book recently, and one of the principles in there is about the power of focus, and feels like focus is the word for the week. And obviously that's one of the benefits of coaching, is that we help our clients to find something, find the focus, find where the priorities are, and find what they need to be thinking about. So is there anyone that has anything in particular they'd like to bring to the conversation today, a client you're working with, or a topic, or just something that you've been thinking about, you'd like to have a discussion about?
May I just check something?
Yeah.
Ask a question, thank you. Is this a form of coaching supervision, or is it, what is it? Just so that I can.
Well, I guess I couldn't necessarily call it coaching supervision in the purest sense, because I'm not a qualified coach supervisor, and I don't know if any of us are either. Okay. What we have used it for in the past is if people have, as a bit of a forum, if people have, look, I've got this client and I'm finding this situation, and I'm trying to work out how to best you know, I guess I'd call it troubleshooting a little bit. And we have had cases where people have done that in the past, Anne, where
Okay.
they'll share, you know, I'm working with a client and I mean, actually one springs to mind for me right now, to be fair, I could share, but yeah, so there's things along those lines. So yeah, obviously things that we can do like that, or if there's sometimes we share a tool or technique or discuss, you know, a particular aspect or so, but we always leave it open for people to come and, you know, bring something to discuss. if they want.
It definitely isn't anything formal.
No. Okay.
Because you know, not everybody is qualified, and Andonella's the best person for you to speak to about that. So I would definitely message Andonella, because she'll tell you how it all came about, because it is just a way of helping each other. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank
so
you.
so yeah, so we've only got 35 minutes.
Wow.
So Terry, I think you were going to raise your hand. I think Terry,
Oh,
you've
yes.
got something. Has anyone else got anything?
for
Just
it.
so we can try and manage the time. Nothing specific for Sean. Nothing specific for Bansery. I think Caroline's listening in. She's got the grandkids in the background. So, and obviously, Angela. So Terry, we'll start with you. I will stop recording, and we'll discuss your issue. And then any other time we've got, we can just talk more generally.
Part of this is maybe like we have a training background, and obviously we're used to training people or facilitating people through a process, and equally, I mean, one of the things that I want to focus on as well is I want to move a bit into team coaching, and that feels a little bit like it's kind of sort of on the border, I guess, between pure coaching versus a little bit of like, you know, directive facilitate, well, I say directive, but, you know, facilitation with a purpose, as in you are trying to take them through to get to a certain point. So it feels like it's a little bit on the line between training and coaching to me. And I guess obviously the tools, they obviously drive your thought process. They help you develop as a person. But equally, yeah, that was one thing that's also read in the book, was that, you know, that's the mark, that's the difference between experienced and inexperienced coaches. Is that the inexperienced ones, they want to rely on the tools, but the experienced ones, they just, you know, they don't need tools, because the best tool is the person in front of you, which makes complete sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess it's just that feeling of wanting to feel prepared.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
sometimes it feels like, you know, if you had the thing to hand in the moment, it might work, but then to say, oh, I'll send it to you afterwards, it doesn't always work.
Hmm.
So,
I think
yeah.
it's contextual, isn't it? For me, it's contextual. And every single client and every single person sat in front of me is different.
Yeah.
And they're different each time you see them, because obviously they've had experience and stuff has happened. So I guess that is down to style. It's what makes you feel confident and comfortable as well, isn't it?
I'm just writing down our little diagram here. It's getting the balance right between the tools allow you to prepare, but if you over prepare, it can actually be a bad thing. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it's just down to for me, I would say it's down to the person, Sheridan. I don't over prepare with tools. I've got them. I hope I've got enough. I'm constantly listening and looking out for new stuff, like all of us do, I guess. We want to continue to develop. The journey's never finished, is it, of learning? But I don't go in with a mindset of an army of tools. That's just my style, and that seems to work for me. But I guess it's down to what works for each individual, because we're all different. Even if we were coaching in exactly the same area, we'd be doing it differently, wouldn't we? I guess.
Well, I guess it depends on who's in front of you, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So right, I'm just going to go through the chat here. I think this is Andonella again. I think I'm like you, Anne. I do have a book with headings and capture resources under that if they occur to me. Great. Planning each session means I go with some thoughts, but I can ignore them depending on what they bring. And Caroline is saying that the knowledge and the how is already in the person. It just needs to be brought out of them. Sometimes this is an interesting point, Caroline. Sometimes I feel people are looking for permission to move forward.
Yeah.
Now that's worth discussing.
That's an interesting comment. Yeah.
But again, it's their conversation. They are looking for permission, but really it's not for the coach to move them forward. It's for them to move forward.
For the coach to facilitate the journey,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yes,
Caroline's
but I
back.
would argue that, you know, if you've been brought in, especially like if you're brought into an organization, I mean, there is some expectation that conversation is going to move them forward, because otherwise, what are they paying? I mean, you can't make them take action. I agree with that. But equally, there's, if you're contracted in, I say, contract, but if you're brought in, they're not bringing you in to not help them move forward. So, and I think maybe that's where it comes from, is that it's the onus of, you want to feel as though you're, I said, oh God, I'm just gonna, am I doing it right? Basically, I think that's the thing that come out here, because and it felt like when I went through my training, I learned the GROW model. It was drilled into me, and I had to do assessments, and I was assessed on how well I adhered to that specific framework model.
Wow, really? Wow.
And then all of a sudden you get a qualification, and people just say, "Oh, well, over to you now. You can do whatever you like." Like what?
Wow.
So, you have to find your feet, really.
Yeah, and maybe maybe the GROW model's not your favorite, so you've had assessment on it and it's been drilled in, but you've mentioned one this morning, Stokers. You might prefer that. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think there's value in all these things, isn't
Yeah,
it? But I do think that the key thing with that one is it's just that you're clear on what the outcome is of the session, and that's a valuable skill, isn't it? Because otherwise, where are you there, really? Yeah, sorry, Caroline, what were you saying earlier? Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, it's for me, a lot of people come and they start saying, okay, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know where I want to go, and they already know where they want to go, but they're not giving themselves permission to take the next step in getting there. So it's about asking the questions and what's stopping them, what is it that's holding you back, and then taking them down that route, so that they can then see, actually, there's nothing really holding me back, and I can do this if I want to do this. Sometimes that's just a different route. Sorry, there may be noise in the background. There's a washing machine going on here. So I'm actually my daughter's, the grandchildren were going, well, the daughter and the grandchild were going back and forward. So that's why I had the camera off. But yeah, I mean, and that's something that I learned through doing NLP. And there was some of the questions that would come through from an NLP coaching perspective, is what is holding you back.
Well, and I was trained as a practitioner as well. And I think that's, so I guess when I say tools, I guess one of the things I'm conscious of as well, as you think, okay, so I learned these skills. So like NLP would definitely be one of those. And I've learned a bit of clean and all sorts of other things. And it's kind of feeling like, well, how do you integrate those and make sure that you're mastering them, I suppose. So it's not so much that you want to have a specific tool in the back of your mind, although sometimes that's useful, but it's also thinking, well, how do I measure? At the end of a coaching session, I always reflect on what went well, what could I do better the next time? But it's like, it feels like, what am I measuring against? So if I don't have a framework or a tool or whatever, how do I, and I guess you have these principles or whatever you could look at, but it's thinking, well, how do I know that I'm, doing the best job I possibly can? Because I want to.
The client will be the one to let you know that. The client will tell you. You'll know by their body language, their facial expressions. Have their shoulders, were their shoulders tight when they came in? Have they now dropped? Because if the shoulders have dropped, they're going out there relaxed. If there's a different tone to their voice, have they actually clicked and a light bulb's gone off and they're going, right, wow, that's brilliant. Now I know where I'm going. So it's the client that's going to give you that validation.
Loving Andonella's comment here. Sheridan, could you be Antonella, please?
So I wish I had her lovely
She's making
voice.
some great points in here. Yeah, what problem are you trying to solve?
Oh, my emails just keep popping up in this corner. They are the driver, and we are there to help them find several roads for them to choose from. Give yourself permission not to use lots of tools. So I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So
I do love the permission to move forward though, and that's great. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I know it's just being you're just being
I
said.
read something in NLP. You can give yourself permission to be stuck, get stuck as well. You know, sometimes it's quite good as well just to allow yourself, okay, I'm stuck, and it's accept basically by giving yourself permission.
Being stuck also, you can look at your options in terms of what's going to get you unstuck to move forward.
I quite like that idea as well as what Terry just said, is that sometimes it's okay to just sit there a while and go, do you know what, I'm a bit stuck, what's the rush? Maybe the answer will present itself tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
I'm a sod for that. I always think, right, I need to come up with this, but what I have learned is to just not take action for a couple of days, because I'm a
Yeah.
sod for just doing a gut reaction, which isn't always the right thing to do.
No.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to be creative or do something like that. Yeah.
Because I have a zillion brilliant ideas every day, so I can't action them all.
Hey, you can't action them all, but they're all buzzing around.
Maybe
like-
Sheridan needs a bit of coaching too.
Indeed, indeed.
Oh, I
I think we've
probably
got
do.
we've got about 5 minutes left. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring to the table then?
I hope not, because look
Oh my goodness, you
diagrams.
filled
I
the
can't
page.
see.
Holy cow.
I filled the page. See,
I
this
feel
is
like
my role.
I need some training on mind mapping. This
I'm
is
the note taker.
brilliant. Brilliant. That's a useful skill, being able to mind map like that and facilitate the conversation. Great skill at the same time. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I only chipped into the conversation, Chris. You did all the heavy lifting there.
That's okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Well, I don't have anything else to add on my end. Does anyone else have anything else?
No, only thank you very
Nothing.
much. Just
Thanks for stepping in, Chris.
Great coach question. Then what do you
Thank
think has
you.
been one of the most useful things you've learned or picked up today from our conversation?
collaboration is the key.
Oh,
Welcome to the Training Designs
Thank
Club.
you.
This is what we do.
for having you here. And I've really appreciated hearing your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a first time coming on to the coaches one, I've enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
really good just hearing from different people and different perspectives.
Yeah, and you get to meet Terry. He only ever turns up to these, you know. He's very selective with
But
his
I
time.
always see
I'll try to come to the other drop-ins.
Terry, if they're not useful to you, you don't. You know, your time is precious. Use what is useful to you.
Oh, no. Thank you. No, thank you. I do like the Stoker model. I've never heard of it. And yeah, I've started actually. I've put it, yeah, I found it on. Online.
I'll put a link in as well, because I did a bit of Googling whilst you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Unless there's something specific, Chris, that you would recommend. I just literally
I'll-
Googled it and I came up with a couple of articles.
Yeah,
Maybe-
no, I'll write the book. I'll write the name of the book.
Also, you know, Anne mentioned supervision. Maybe one day we can talk about it. We've mentioned it before with Antonella, supervision. And yeah, maybe that's something we could discuss another time.
Yeah, because we
Because
don't
it's not compulsory,
Hmm.
No.
but yeah, what we're doing here is quite similar at the same time.
I just
So,
find it so valuable to just have that. Well, it's that sounding board, isn't it? Just to be able to put your ideas or your thoughts or your questions or your, here's my situation with a client sort of thing in front of other coaches and hear how they think about it or how they would approach it. And I just find that so valuable. So like Anne said, it's the collaboration is it. That's what's most valuable to me.
Yeah, it's a lonely place, isn't it? It can be a lonely place. Yeah, so it's good.
Antonella says she is trained as a coach supervisor, and it's definitely something that you can discuss at a future session.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. So maybe we could
Yeah.
weave some of that in. That would be great.
mm,
That would be awesome. Yeah, because I think, yeah, what you say, yeah, we adopt a little bit of a supervision style, but yeah, I know there's definitely, I've had some coach supervision. I know there's definitely different exercises or ways or different things you can use to approach it. So yeah, it's very valuable. And I was going to say, I would encourage you, if you're not a member already, check out the Association for Coaching.
Oh yeah, I remember
And
it.
EMCC, because I know AC, I belong to what we call a co-coaching group, and we meet up like once a month, and you just get to connect with other coaches and coach and be coached and learn different tools and so forth. But equally, I've met some coach supervisors of that as well. And I think I saw through the AC that they're doing, because it's International Coaching Week, I think, coming up. They're going to be doing like free, if you're an AC member, like a group supervision session that you can book onto in April or May or something like that. So check them out if you're not already a member. I've absolutely, my goodness, you could probably go to a webinar 7 days a week with them, but the content and the people and just the resources I've found has been really, really helpful, and similar with not quite so much with EMCC, although it's still very worthwhile because that has the mentoring side if you're into mentoring. So two groups well worth checking out.
What are those groups again, Chris? I didn't capture
So the
them.
Association for Coaching.
Yep.
And the other one, it's called the EMCC, so it's the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, I think. Something like that.
EMCC.
EMCC, yeah, if you just type EMCC
Okay.
and put that in, yeah, because they're both professional bodies and they do similar things in that they'll have groups where you can connect with other coaches. The EMCC, they have like networking groups in different parts of the country, which were in person, but I think a lot of them are virtual as well. So you can connect people and there'll be different topics on things and you get different member benefits, like I think discounts on insurance. And I think through the EMCC, I think you can actually get access to a mentor as well, which is something I need to look at. So, yeah.
There's the ICF as well.
Yes, I haven't done the ICF. I felt I couldn't quite fit in another one because I also belong to ANLP. So I thought, right, okay, I think I've ticked too many professional bodies boxes. I got a little bit carried away. But yeah, I've not. It'd be interesting to hear what the ICF is like if you're involved with that. Are you affiliated with them?
Sorry, I'm currently training with the ICF, so
Okay.
I'm doing their qualification and accreditation.
Oh, great.
I'm learning to navigate their system.
Excellent. Good. Well, I think that's about all from me. So I'd just like to say thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Obviously great to connect with you all again on a Friday. Thank you, Antonella, for giving me an opportunity to jump in the driver's seat for an hour.
Yeah, thanks for stepping in, Chris. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Takes
really
the pressure off me.
enjoy it. Oh, well, no, really enjoy it. And yeah, obviously, yeah, come along to the next one.
Yep. So, right,
Thank
lovely.
you.
Look out for the notes. And if you've got anything to share, just share it in the WhatsApp group and I'll make sure I capture it. So thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Have a great
everybody.
weekend.
Thank
Great
you.
weekend.
Thank you both.
Bye.
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 I was just gonna say, Sheridan, can you save some of
Oh,
the
and I'm
comments?
still recording.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna